Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over the pros and cons of owning a rooftop tent and hopefully help you answer the question, should you buy one? I'm going to start out with the cons, that way we can end this video on the positives of owning a rooftop tent. The greatest negative is going to be the cost of a rooftop tent. In comparison to ground tents, they are astronomically expensive. My Skycamp Skycamp 3.0 was about $5,000, and that's pretty rough. Comparing that to a ground tent that would have cost me about $50. However, this does offer a lot of things that a ground tent can't, but if it's your only option into getting into the outdoors, then definitely just go with the ground tent. You don't want to stress your budget so much that you're not, you're worried about money. You're like, oh, I don't want to go on this next trip because I wasted all this money on a rooftop tent. You don't need it. It's definitely just a luxury. Another negative is, for some people, the miles per gallon impact. Now, I own a 2500 HD, and adding a hard shell tent to the bed rack does not affect my miles per gallon. My truck already guzzles gas, and I don't notice it. However, if you are driving a small car and you own a soft shell, I've seen people say that it could eat 3 to 4 miles per gallon, and that's pretty rough on a long journey, but you are getting a lot for those 3 to 4 miles a gallon. Another negative is going to be I cannot take my truck through a car wash, and I don't really love having to hand wash it, but I'm oversized and it's too tall to go through a car wash. I have seen other people say that they take their tents through the car wash, so I don't think that the tent itself can't go through a car wash. I assume it's on the road doing 75 miles an hour in rainstorms, so I don't think that's the problem. I would take it through a car wash, but I just can't fit. Another negative is going to be storage. I leave it on my truck all year long because I do not like moving it. I recently moved it from my previous truck onto my trailer to find out that the ladder didn't reach to the ground, and it was up about 10-11 feet, which just seemed a little ridiculous to me. I didn't really feel that having my kids up that high walking up and down the ladder was very safe. So I ended up moving it back over to my new truck, and it was a real pain. And I don't want to do that too many times. I also cannot fit into my garage or any parking garage. So when I go to the local museum, they have a parking garage. I have to park outside somewhere. So that's a bit of a problem, but it's pretty minor. You cannot have your dog get into this tent on this truck. If you were in a small car and this ladder could come out more at a less harsh angle, they do sell a ladder insert to turn those into stairs. But I do not have that option, so my dog sleeps in the trailer with me. One of the bigger negatives is going to be the hassle of setting it up and taking it down every time I want to move. So you're at a campsite, you've set up, you slept for the night, now you want to wake up and take your truck somewhere or your car. You have to remove your bedding and close the tent and get ready to go. And after doing that I did that for 16 days on a trip to Colorado. And by day 16, I was pretty annoyed with having to open and close it. But without the tent, I wouldn't have been able to do that trip that way, because I stayed at rest stops, in people's driveways, campsites. so I can't just pop a tent in somebody's driveway or at the rest stop. One thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about the cons of setting up and taking down the rooftop tent is definitely that it is easy to do. It's just that when you do it so many times, it becomes annoying. But in reality, you would feel that way about a tent or really anything that you have to do in repetition. But it is very easy to set up and take down. It takes me about 2 to 5 minutes to take the tent down and everything out of it, and even less to set it up. So I don't want to blow it out of proportion about having to set up and take down. It isn't that big of a deal. All right, on to the pros. The best thing about owning a rooftop tent by far is the comfort compared to sleeping in a tent on the ground. It's clean, it's safe, it's warmer, and I believe that's due to the fabric that the tent is made out of. It feels like a canvas. Now, all rooftop tents are not going to be that way, but the one that I own is that way. So when you are going to buy a rooftop tent, do your due diligence and check what the fabric it's made out of is, because there's a lot of cheap tents on the market that, yes, it is a rooftop tent, but there is a huge range in that market. You can get some rooftop tents for $1,200 compared to mine, which was about $5,000, and the differences are very noticeable. It might not seem that way when you're looking at it on the website, but once you get your hands on it, you do notice a difference. You can sleep anywhere, and that is one of my favorite things. I like to stay at rest stops when I'm on long road trips. I don't like to stop and get a hotel room for $135 a night so that I can sleep there for 6 hours and then hit the road in the morning and drive for another 12 hours. It just seems like a huge waste of money, and that is how I personally justified the cost expenditure of this tent. If I'm on the road for 5 days driving across the country, and I now saved 5 nights stay at a hotel, take that over a couple years, you're gonna pay off the tent. Another thing is I don't find the condensation to be as much of a problem in this tent as I do in a ground tent. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the airflow from underneath, or the fact that I can leave some windows open and still be warm. But it doesn't seem to be as much of a problem. My tent does not get dirty the way that a ground tent would. When your kids are tracking in and out of the tent, and no matter what I do, I can't stop them from just constantly going in and out of the tent. So when I use this tent, they wipe their feet off at the bottom, take their shoes off, head up to the tent. It stays a lot cleaner than your ground tent will. Also, when you're putting it away, the bottom of your ground tent is generally always dirty. No matter if you put a tarp on the ground under it or not, it's gonna get wet, the condensation is gonna build up, and it's kind of, it's just dirty when you're rolling it up and putting it away, and then you gotta get home, open it up, dry it out, all that kind of stuff. That's not a problem with this. A minor one is going to be, for my overland build, I like the way that it looks. And I know that's kind of, it doesn't really matter, but I do like how it looks, and that's something that it makes it just another little thing to make it worth it. The safety of being 7 feet off the ground at a rest stop, a campsite, wherever you may be, whether it's the wildlife or people, that you're worrying about. You have the height advantage, so it definitely feels safer knowing that you're above them. And specifically for wildlife, people have never been a problem. I've been all over. I've never run into any of those problems. So generally speaking, it's the little wildlife, the little creatures, you know, roaming the ground, snakes, chipmunks, whatever. They can't get in there. I also noticed that being up this high, generally speaking, the bugs seem to be a little bit less annoying. I don't know if that's just luck, but it's something that I've noticed. It comes with a mattress, so I don't need to pack ground pads or anything like that. And I know that people I've seen a lot of reviews where people complain about how bad the mattress is. I personally really like the mattress, but maybe that's because I wasn't trying to replace an RV or a queen-size bed. I just need a place to sleep. I am far more interested in being out all day, biking, hiking, doing some activity, coming home, and just sleeping. I don't need all of the extra stuff. So if you have high expectations and you'd like a memory foam mattress or any of those things like the comforts of home, this is not going to replace that. This is going to be an upgrade from sleeping on the ground. Another thing is, it doesn't smell like a tent. And again, I don't know if that's because of the specific tent that I got and the material it's made out of, but it does not smell like plastic. It actually doesn't have much smell at all. So I don't really feel like I'm in a tent. It kind of feels more like a room on top of my truck. One of the best things is the view from the rooftop tent being 7 feet off the ground. You kind of, it feels like you're in a tree house or something, and it just has a different vibe to it when you're up there rather than being on the ground. So yeah, it's very picturesque. So that's another nice addition. When comparing the rooftop tent to a ground tent, one of the most important things is the weather protection. This is fastened to my truck bed, and it has zippers all around it, very robust zippers. It's very well fastened down. I don't need to worry about the wind taking my tent away, which has happened to me before. So I feel very secure in this tent in just about any weather, whether it's a blizzard or a rainstorm. All right, guys, that's it for my list of pros and cons for owning a rooftop tent. And ultimately, the decision whether or not you should buy a rooftop tent is up to your specific needs and requirements for camping. If you're looking for a review on the SkyCamp, I will leave a link in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below and I'll answer them. And if you found this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.